Hey there. So good to be back here with all of you. And Richard Learmont here and Chris Steele.
Yes, sir. Here with you, my friend.
You know, Chris, the subject we've been broaching, we want to talk about the hero's journey and how that plays with our personal lives, how it plays in just in life in general. And you want to talk a little about that? Give a little
Yeah.
something on how does that relate to what we're experiencing today and maybe through your story.
Well, one of the things I like about what we talk about every time we come together is that you and I have got kind of a rich background and a repertoire of a lot of really cool topics we could talk about. And we've been dancing around this whole hero's journey thing. Um, so the hero's journey is actually, the way I understand it, is there's a gentleman named Joseph Campbell who wrote a book called The Hero with a Thousand Faces, or Hero with a Thousand Faces. And that basically kind of brought the concept of the hero's journey to mainstream. And we're just going to kind of unpack it real quick. So toward that end, here's a graphic. I'll just share a graphic. And we're not here to give a quick, big, long-winded, blown-out education on the hero's journey, but the concept is that we all go through life, and here's a pretty good graphic of how we're called to adventure. It's almost like metaphorically, we choose to take the red pill, right? Because we
Hmm.
choose to go into a component of life. And the way Campbell talks about it is it's that call to adventure, right? And then we actually, ask for supernatural aid, we ask for guidance, and then we hit a threshold, and that's what we know. Then we delve into the unknown. And that's the mystical, etherical aspect of the hero's journey that nobody really has any idea what it's about, because every hero's journey is unique, right?
Hmm.
So you get into challenges, and there's different components that come in and to guide you. You helpers, you got mentors, and then eventually you hit kind of an abyss, right? And people these days are saying, oh, we must be at the bottom. Well, I don't know. Are we, as we talk about our journey as a society, and then eventually in the context of the hero's journey, you recover, you get into transformation, and then atonement, and then you go back into the known, and then that's you return as the hero, right? So anyway, that's the concept, and the metaphor applies to us as we go through life. I know I took the red pill. I opted in a long time ago in my life and said, hey, I surrender. I want to know what this life's all about. And it's been an amazing, wonderful roller coaster, we call it, in the context of the journey that I'm on. So
So is everyone going through this in your perspective, or is it just certain people who choose to go through this and choose to go for a blue pill, or some people stay in the blue pill area?
I think it's a good question, because I think that, I mean, I have an opinion, I have a perspective that's been gleaned through a lifetime of being a seeker and seeking, the truth and everything. And I think that once we as individual spirits, have a level of awareness of our consciousness, and then all that awareness brings, and maybe something hits us in life. Like, I know for me, my consciousness expanded when I lost my mother when I was a kid, and it made me shift. It made me realize, okay, there's more to life, because this best friend, this woman that I had the utmost respect for, is now gone. And it made me come to terms with a component. So that's kind of when I took the red pill, and I chose a spiritual existence. And I think that's when I consciously began my hero's journey. I didn't know it at the time that it was called a hero's journey, or what the construct was, but I think that everybody goes through a journey. And I think a lot of people just choose to stay, I don't know, I don't want to sound judgmental, but blind or oblivious or ignorant to what the possibilities can be. So I think that as you go through life, some people can say, hey, I'm not really having a call to adventure. I'm just going to have the life, and
Afraid of maybe fear is holding them back from actually going into the unknown.
right, right.
So, but I
So,
didn't mean to
so it's
interrupt you.
interesting,
Just
because I don't know if it's a conscious choice or a spiritual choice, or maybe it's a choice that our creator afflicts upon us based on the will that we have, because we have willpower, right? So anyway, what does the hero's journey concept mean to you? I mean, do you feel like you're on a hero's journey, or?
oh, certainly, yeah, I would say, um, yeah, for sure.
So where do you
Taking
think
that,
you are as you look at this cycle?
I I'm in a rebirth. In the cycle. Let me pull that thing up again. I was just looking at your image here. So let's see. How do I get it back? Ah, there we go. Um, Perhaps atonement.
So you've actually gone through the content, the abyss and the bottom of the pit, and and the death and the rebirth and all the angst and the challenge and the revelation you had, and you've actually experienced transformation, and now you're in atonement. Is that a pretty good interpretation of that?
I would say so. Yeah. Well, who knows? Maybe I might be surprised at some other phase of my life, but it feels like that. I feel like yeah, I've been in a transformational place for such a long time, and but it feels like atonement. Like really, I feel in a really good, settled place with my sense of who I am, um, how I'm here to in trusting myself as well, because that's been a big part of it most of my life. Trusting myself, and I've come to a place where I know that I can fully trust my decisions and how to make decisions correctly and so on. So yeah, atonement feels right.
It's interesting because as I process what you say, it makes me curious. It makes me full of wonder, wonderful around. Okay, Richard, well then tell me, the challenges that you experienced and the temptations, and when you were there and you had this darkness, the dark night of the soul, as Joseph Campbell calls it, right? And you were in the abyss, and and then all of a sudden something popped. I mean, how did you know that you transitioned out? Because I mean, I'll ask that because I've gone through a roller coaster, and I feel like I've been at the pits of despair, and then I've transcended them, and I'm like,
Hmm.
I'm in atonement, and the next thing you know, boom, it happens again,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So how do you process that?
Well, I mean, life is life, and we don't know what's going to happen and how things are going to happen in the future for us. Even though we like to think, yeah, it's everything's good, and you know, we just don't know. So I can't really speak about that, but I can certainly speak about what it feels like for me now, and based on what I've been through. Um, yeah, in terms of the hero's journey kind of track, um, I went through this phase of also meeting with the wise teachers and gurus, and having these deeper experiences with shamanism that really took me into this deep aspect of myself from not knowing who I was before, completely clueless, just doing everything like everybody else, locked into the homogenized world, and following, trying to be like, wanting to achieve just like this one and to have this and that, like, locked into that whole thing. I'm not saying that anything's wrong with any of that. Of course, I love having beautiful things. I love beauty and creating beauty and having, abundance of great things. That's yes, but not lost in it. Like the world is lost in it. And yes, I was lost in that. I was lost in not understanding how relationships work, how to best communicate. So part of the journey was going through these breakups and learning through these, the way I've entered into those relationships and coming out of them and transitioning them and transforming, you know myself, from learning from how I've done it, and these teachings like human design and all the teachings around, like I said, shamanism and the spiritual practices have helped along the way, and so coming to a place now of yeah, I've really discovered and found that guru or teacher within myself, that voice that they all spoke about, you know, connecting with that, the guru within and so on, you know, the divine that's within. There's all kinds of names and terminologies they give to it. So I felt like, yeah, I've questioned it and doubted it and had connections with it, but not knowing, and there's always this, this and that, the whole binary sort of journey with it, and sort of you know, coming into further into a place of, in the atonement of, you know, atoning these two aspects of myself, you know, that's so different, and really, you know, finding the grounding in it, you know, is where I'm at on that, in this journey space.
I guess the moral of the story is that we're all on some kind of a journey, you know,
Hmm.
whether it be a hero's journey or a journey of exploration or a spiritual journey or just a journey of day to day. And maybe it's the journey of having a job and making money and having kids, whatever, right?
Hmm.
It's the journey. One of the things I like about the whole hero's journey concept is that it allows us to realize that the journey's not necessarily meant to be easy, you know.
Not at
And
all.
for me, the metaphor of a hero, it's like, think of your hero, you know, whether it be a superhero or whatever, they become heroic through a journey of challenge,
Absolutely.
you know.
Hmm.
So maybe that's the moral of the story in the context of just addressing the hero's journey. I know we're going to unpack this in a little bit, you know, in one of our next discussions around maybe some specifics of our journeys and maybe what they meant to us. But I think in the context of where we are right now in today's era of uncertainty, embrace your journey. You know, I
Indeed.
challenge people to go ahead and maybe again take the red pill. You know, commit to a higher level of understanding. Doesn't mean it's going to be any easier, but it's going to give you a heroic capability to be able to do what I believe we were all meant to do. I mean, I think we were put on the planet for a reason. You know,
Yeah. To
we're
face our
manifesting.
fears. Yeah.
Right. So anyway, I guess that's what it means. So the hero's journey, we all get to be on one if we so choose.
And yeah, you know, we're going to open these conversations up and bring some guests in, and invite other people. So we may broach these conversations again, and have some other perspectives.
We might even go down the rabbit hole of just discussing everybody's different heroes' journeys. That could be a whole series of episodes,
That'd be
but
really cool. Yeah, I
I
like
think it
that.
would be cool. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Good touching on it, Richard. Always a pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Chris.